AVS Media Demo.
Papa Hotel Lima Echo November radio check.
Papa Echo November, good afternoon, Richard 5.
Good afternoon, Region 5 as well, Papa Echo November.
The X-Zone radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone radio and TV show or in any manner endorsed by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, Talkstar Radio Network, its affiliated stations, or employees.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A son's disregard, a broken bottle top, and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the window, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's the one I want you to know. I'm starting with the man in the
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour, X-Zone Nation, is Scott Marlowe. He's proclaimed as America's most credible cryptozoologist. Now, Scott spends as much time in camas and boots as he does in a lab coat and Oxfords. A fellow of Pangea Institute, an educational consultant to the American Primate Conservation Alliance, Scott is the first expert in the field to succeed in establishing an ongoing college course in cryptozoology at a state institution of higher learning anywhere in the world. His cryptozoology course, hailed as one of the top 10 news stories of 2004 by The Cryptozoologist, a well-known insider magazine, has won both accolades and awards for its fresh approach and application of forensic science methodologies to the study of enigmatic animals. And joining me now is Scott Marlowe. And Scott, welcome back to the X-Zone.
Thanks for having me back.
What's new in the world of cryptozoology?
Oh, Lord.
That much, eh?
All kinds of things new. We have dragon skulls washing up on the shore, and we've got globsters in the Persian Gulf, and all kinds of stuff, all of which needs to be taken a look at. But I have been so busy with the Mystery Monsters of Florida summer camps, I haven't had a chance to look at any of the news.
Wow, dragon skulls washing up on shore. Globsters? What's a globster?
Yep. A globster is this big mass of Lord knows what that is apparently the remains of a cryptid animal that either washes up on shore or is found floating offshore in the ocean.
Wow, and dragon skulls?
Yep, that's what they're saying. It's probably a hoax. Most of these things usually are, and the globsters are inevitably whale blubber. But you never know. Everything has to be properly investigated, and it takes a little time. And you can't always make a good judgment, not to demean the media.
Sure.
But it takes a little time to do the work that's necessary to determine what's what. and you can't really do it from a piece of video or a photograph most of the time.
Tell me, Scott, are we any closer to finding the truth about the Patterson film and Bigfoot?
The truth about Bigfoot, probably. The Patterson film, I don't know that we're any closer to finding anything out about that, although, there's still people firmly on the side of it's real and firmly on the side of it's not. Yeah, so, let's just leave the dialectic alone and figure the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, like I always used to say, there's three sides to every story. His side, her side, and the truth. Scott, stand by. We've got to take a commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Sure.
Exonation, Scott Marlowe is my special guest this hour. www.pangeainstitute.us. And you can also check out www.pangea-academy.org. We're talking about cryptozoology this hour here in the X Zone with Scott Marlowe. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern. And we're coming to you live from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
I see the kids in the street, but not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A son's disregard, a broken bottle.
Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com.
I'm William S. Peckham. If you enjoy a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love my novel, From Out of the Woodwork. It's the story of a young Toronto contractor, Sean Kennedy, who buys derelict homes, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. Slums just waiting to happen. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, the house fights back. Former owners unexpectedly come out of the woodwork as he starts the destruction. The apparitions come to him when he touches old books, reads hidden letters, rummages through old boxes, finds a locket, or reads a discovered manuscript of a murder mystery. From Out of the Woodwork will take you from 1899 to the horror of the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Check out From Out of the Woodwork on my website, www.williamspeckham.com.
And welcome back, everyone. Scott Marlowe is our special guest this hour. We're talking about cryptids, cryptoids, and cryptozoology. And Scott, you've got a new book coming out. I know you're working on it, but your book, Cryptid Creatures of Florida, how's it doing, and what has been the public reaction to it?
Well, it's kind of been interesting. I got off to a really great start.
Mm-hmm.
Then it hit a lull, and then I did a book tour last year, and it went sky high.
Right.
And now this is the season where people are interested in the signing. So at this stage, I've got book signing events scheduled through most of September and October. I'm definitely out of pocket every weekend with one. So it's doing real well. It's just people really want to see the book, and they're beginning to realize that the way I wrote it, it's more of an ecotourist piece for people who are interested in enigmatic animals, so they can get out there and do some research on their own.
How many cryptid creatures of Florida are there?
Well, we've got 21 that I wrote about in the book, and these are the ones that are really well known. Now, in the sequel, if you can call it that I'm working on now, Mystery Monsters of Florida, there's at least 16 more. So it's kind of unusual down here in Florida. We have a whole lot of them.
What's the most famous of them all?
Oh, of course, the swamp ape.
What is a swamp ape?
Swamp ape is our southern Sasquatch. It's probably related to the Sasquatch, but not the exact same animal, at least in my opinion.
Now, where did these creatures come from?
Well, I think that Dr. Krantz was probably correct that the Sasquatch descended from the Gigantopithecus blacki, or it could be a relic hominin like Dr. Meldrum believes. In the case of the swamp ape, I believe it descended from a different line, but the same family of creatures that Gigantopithecus blacki came from, but the Oreopithecus, and instead of following the Beringia land bridge into America from Siberia, it followed the coastal waters from Europe and got here by the Atlantic route.
All right,
which is similar to the way the Vikings got here.
So is the swamp ape related to Bigfoot?
From a familial point of view, yeah, because the Gigantopithecus blacki descended from the Shivapithecus, and they're all interrelated. The only surviving member of that family of apes is the orangutan.
How do we know Bigfoot is real? Nobody's ever seen the body of a Bigfoot. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of, I don't know if it's myth or...
Well, on those occasions where a body has been evident, it has disappeared, of course. There are stories like Zena in the Republic of Georgia, and the Chinese have claimed that they recovered a body, but it disappeared, yada, yada, yada. And we hear that all the time. I mean, here in the States, we get more hoaxes than anything else when it comes to the animal. But there's been some hair samples collected on Yeti expeditions to the Himalayas, some Sasquatch items collected by Dr. Fahrenbach and others, Dr. Meldrum too, here in the United States and Canada. I've collected anomalous hair from down here in Florida that nobody can identify. And and of course, my buddy Adam Davies bought back orang pendek hair from Southeast Asia, and they all test apparently similar to orangutan, but not identical to orangutan. Thus, it tends to support my hypothesis that they are interrelated species.
Once again, how come there isn't any concrete evidence with all the technology at our disposal, and yet we still can't get the smoking gun on Bigfoot or any other?
Well, what do you call tracks? I mean, you got people like Jimmy Chilcott who started out as being a skeptic, finding tracks with dermal ridges, and now he's a dyed-in-the-wool believer. I don't know that we don't have evidence. A good example might be if they are related to the red-haired giants, which is possible, of Paiute legend. There are skeletal remains. It's just the government won't let us near it to test it for DNA.
So are you saying there's a government conspiracy involved with Bigfoot as well?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's something going on because they simply won't let us test. There's skulls from Lovelock Cave, for example. I've tried repeatedly to get to the skulls, and the last time I tried, after they appeared in an episode of Ancient Aliens with Eric Von Daniken, the museum freaked out, contacted the government, and the government seized them. They won't let anybody near them. Now, why? According to the Paiute legends, they weren't Native Americans. The Paiutes, were at war with them and suffocated them all in Lovelock Cave with a fire set in front of the cave. They obviously were not part of the group. They don't have any surviving tribal people. so why would you want them under the Native American Repatriation Act? It doesn't make sense.
But it doesn't make sense to me why everything in the, whether it's the UFO community, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's extraterrestrials, there's always going to be a government cover-up spin-off somehow when evidence cannot be produced.
Well, that may be, but that's not always the case. Take a look at the Beely ape in Central Africa. The evidence sat on a museum shelf misidentified for 100 years before they got that right.
But
yet it turned out to be the pan troglodyte swine-furthy.
All right, but with all
but it's their version of Bigfoot in Central Africa.
But once again, Scott, with all the technology at the disposal of everyone these days, whether it's the amateur, whether it's the professional, whether it's the scientist, whether it's the military, all this technology is available, and yet no one can come up with the conclusive photo of a Bigfoot, and it seems the only thing that is heralded by Bigfoot believers as credible is the Patterson film.
Well, and I don't know that I believe entirely that the film is genuine. There's some pretty good evidence that it isn't. I'd like to believe it, and for the most part, I have over time. But as I hear more and more stories about how it might have been concocted, I get a little bit more antsy about it. And it's hard to give things up. I mean, who was it? Mark Twain, who said something about it's easier to convince people of a lie than it is to convince them they've made a mistake.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, so, it's really rough to do that. And, of course, I'm confused from the standpoint that I've seen the animal myself. So, I know there's something there on a personal, subjective level, but proving it scientifically to the satisfaction of the scientific community, that's a different story.
What did it look like when you saw the skunk ape?
It stood about the same height as a man.
Yeah.
It was covered in fur. I could not see a lot of detail because of the lighting, but it was standing, in the shadows opposite me, my car, in a parking area that, in my apartment in 1975 in suburban Orlando, which was much different back then. And it seemed more interested in the dumpster than me, but it was one of those moments that, everybody's had them where everything happens in slow motion. And it was that kind of thing. To me, it's a little bit more like the thing they talk about in Star Trek Insurrection, where they talk about a perfect moment in time, where everything slows down and a whole universe of things is going on at once, and you're unusually conscious of it. It's a kind of a metaphysical experience. And because there are things that just stick into my mind now. What is it, 35 years later? And I can see it as though it was yesterday. I mean, there's just things that are burned into my memory.
Why did you want to become a cryptozoologist?
That's the reason.
That's the reason.
At the time this occurred, I was a pre-med student, and seeing that thing just like, whoa. Is everything I'm being taught wrong? And I'm one of those strange people that I want the truth. I don't give a flying about nonsense. I want to know the truth.
How many other people have you talked to who had the same sort of sighting that you did when it comes to the swamp ape?
More than I can count.
Really? And everything matches.
There's some slight differences, but you would expect that.
Sure.
I mean, the overall form of the creature, the basic circumstance. Sometimes they smell them. I didn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they report white around the eyes. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're lighter skinned or lighter haired than other times. Some people have even seen white or gray ones. Whereas most of them see a charcoal brown or black, but and some of them are red like an orangutan or an Irish setter. But that's not unusual.
Is it possible, Scott? I guess it is possible. I don't know how it happens, but how can a creature like Bigfoot or like the swamp ape live side by side with with humans and yet not be totally identified and proven to exist?
Well, sometimes it's a matter of being mistaken. I mean, people, frequently, one of the things I hear constantly is people dismiss it as a bear, and then I hear the person who had the experience, it weren't no bear.
Yeah.
People do know the difference. But, how many times, it might be different for you up where you are, but I've lived in Florida now 20-some years. We got bear down here. I've never seen one in the wild. All right. I've seen a Florida panther only once in all that time in the wild.
Scott Marlowe,
So,
stand by, buddy. These are these are perplexing scenarios, because you saw what you saw. You were a pre-med student. You know what you saw. Other people that you've talked to also know what they saw. And it must be so hard and frustrating not to be able to convince the rest of the population with the proof. Stand by, Scott. We'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone with my guest this hour, Scott Marlowe, www.pangeainstitute.us. And we'll be back. Don't go away.
Have you exhausted all traditional means of healing without success? Are you experiencing communications through ghosts, angels, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services to humanity at this time through consultations. These consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you desire clarity of what may appear to be unexplainable phenomenon, then contact me through my website at aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
You're listening to the X Zone Radio Show, live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, UK High Definition Radio, Euro High Definition Radio, and Star Cable. Our toll-free telephone number worldwide is 1-800-610-7035. Our email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com.
One day at midnight, the sun was so bright, the moon had no light, but I could see this big old Sasquatch. Said he was top-notch at playing hopscotch way up in a tree. So I bet my wristwatch that big old Sasquatch could never play hopscotch way up in a tree. Now there's a Sasquatch up in a tree crotch. He's got my wristwatch and he's laughing at me. I told him out.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. Scott Marlowe is our special guest this hour. www.pangeainstitute.us, and you can also check out another good site at www.pangea-academy.org. Scott, we've been talking about cryptozoology, cryptids, and when it comes to the people who have these sightings, like you yourself had the sighting, is there a common thread between the people who have the sightings and the experiences, or are these people from right across the spectrum?
Oh, good Lord. It's interesting you bring that up because the college just asked us to do a seminar, and one of the topics will be the psychological types for eyewitnesses of paranormal phenomena.
Yeah.
And there's an enormous spectrum. Only about 5% are highly credible. Most of them are delusional, trying to work a hoax with some sort of sociological problem, and then others are histrionic personality disorder. And I mean, it's just
Wow.
and it's extremely difficult if you don't know what you're doing to sort through them to know what's what and who's who.
What raises flags with you when you're interviewing someone who has had an apparent sighting?
Well, I kind of don't like giving away the farm there, but one of the things is how the people live. There are certain behavior patterns and environmental issues relative to their homes and what have you that will tend to give them away. And there are certain phrases and attitudes and behaviors that also tend to give them away in determining what's going on. I mean, you have to bear in mind that in my college background, I've got, it must be about 60 credit hours of abnormal psychology. So this is stuff I pay close attention to.
So it's fair to
president of Pangea is an intake counselor for the Florida Department of Corrections. These are topics we're talking about all the time.
So it's fair to say that anyone who has been on the Jerry Springer show who makes a report of seeing a swamp ape is somebody that you'd kind of stay away from.
I would tend to be very, very skeptical of any story they put out there.
So you're saying that basically out of every 100 stories you hear or reports that you look into, only 5% bear any credibility?
Only 5% are going to be really credible.
When it comes to the swamp ape as well as Bigfoot, what do we know about their family life? What do we know about their habits? Are they good parents? How do they live? What do they eat?
From a realistic point of view, since we can't actually observe them, we really don't, quote, know anything.
Can we? What can we surmise?
We can make some assumptions based on things that we found, and it appears that the assumption that they are somewhat similar in their social structure to a family of gorillas is probably correct.
Wow. So do they have a social structure as well? Do they live in? Do you think they live in communities? And when you've done expeditions, have you come across any places that you believe might be the habitat of the swamp ape? And if so, what kind of habitat is it?
Well, the one that I'm most confident in is we had several sightings after Hurricane Charlie, and the family of hurricanes passed through here in 2004. And I took an expedition out after that because of the sightings into the Green Swamp with some of my students. And one of the things that we discovered, Ken Gerhard, my buddy in Texas, hi Ken, if you're listening, came out with us on that hunt. and we found an organization of 6 nests in something along the line of a horseshoe around a structure that looked, constructed out of branches. And the nests were particularly interesting because of the way they were composed. The pine straw had been brought in from a considerable distance and laid on the ground that would have been trampled to make a depression. And then on top of that, they laid Washington palm fronds, and then they laid a layer of Spanish moss, and that comprised the beds or the nesting areas. Now, it was out of the, I don't know if anybody caught the episode that I did for Discovery Channel on Is It True, a short-lived show with Chuck Nice, a nice comedian fellow as the host. But we found hair that was mixed in with the Spanish moss that we extracted in the lab at the college after the expedition. And I kept that hair waiting for a really good opportunity to have it tested, although I examined it myself and knew it was significant. And I turned it over to Chuck on camera and let him take it back to Mike Hughes at the University of Southern California, who is a forensic hair specialist. Mike examined the hair and determined that whatever it was, it came from a mammal that was larger than a dog. And upon examination and comparison with their entire library of every known animal that has hair on the North American continent, could not find a match, and said it is from no known animal on North America.
Now, did they do a match of animals not in North America?
No, unfortunately, they didn't have that extensive a database, and they never checked that. But I'm extremely interested. I don't know if Mike still has the hair, but as a matter of fact, I've been talking to Chuck because I really want to try and get that back. But Chuck's no longer associated with the production, and Discovery killed the show, so it's like pulling teeth.
Right.
But I still have some of the hair left, and I want to get DNA done on it, but there's not enough to do everything with it. So that's what I'm afraid of. I'd like to get the mounts back because that can be compared with other hair databases.
Now, do these swamp apes stay in the same area, or do they migrate to different areas during different times?
They migrate.
And where would their migration pattern be?
Well, I think in the winter they spend most of their time down in 10,000 Islands or thereabouts south of the Everglades. Where, out of those 10,000 islands, there's only 3 of them that are inhabited by humans. But then they travel the waterways, the more obscure waterways, in the shoulder seasons, and they summer up in Ocala National Forest or maybe the Okefenokee.
When it comes to other cryptids or cryptoids that are studied by people like yourself, one of the most questionable creatures of this era has got to be Nessie in Loch Ness Monster. Is in Loch Ness, Scotland. Is it real? Is it a hoax? What's your take?
There's something there, but I doubt seriously it's it's a plesiosaur. It's got to be something else. I just don't think that seagoing reptiles of that type would have survived. But that said, we have similar creatures here in Florida and off the coast that are reported from time to time, one of which, back in 1963, was ostensibly responsible for the death of 3 teenagers who were out swimming near the wreck of the Massachusetts by Pensacola Bay.
And what was it? Any idea? Any speculation?
Well, I think it was a bull shark, but the surviving eyewitness insists that it had a 12-foot neck like a telephone pole with a bulbous head like a turtle on the end of it.
Something strange is happening in our seas. We see a drastic increase in the number of jellyfish. We see a drastic increase in the number of squids. How does this play into the big picture of things?
Well, it's simply because the water's getting warmer.
How about commercial fishing? Can we point the finger at the massive amounts of commercial fishing that is actually playing with the ecosystem itself?
Well, that's entirely possible too. I mean, if you take the predators away, the bottom of the food chain expands. So that's probably also part of it.
In your opinion,
of course, there are predators that were in Florida waters, 50 years ago, that aren't there now, such as the Caribbean monk seal.
And how is this
We actually had seals in Florida waters and the Caribbean in general.
And how is this affecting the ecosystem in Florida?
Well, I mean, first of all, you've got other Arctic seals now radiating into that void that are adapting to the warmer water that we proved on one Monster Quest episode. But you've also got other animals that will evolve into some form that will fill that void too. That's how evolution works.
When you set up an expedition, how do you prepare yourself, and how do you prepare those who are going to be going with you?
Well, it depends entirely upon what the expedition is going to be for, what our mission statement is for that expedition, if you will, and the animal itself that we're after, and what we'd like to walk away with. I mean, obviously, capture is always a goal, but that's not realistic all the time. So, for example, the last major expedition I went on was with Lee Hales and Ken Gerhard up doing the Carabel Cat, which I believe is a black Florida panther manifestation, based on the fact that I've actually seen a black Florida panther twice in two different locations here in Florida myself. So, I mean, despite what all the zoologists say, I know the thing's there. And I'd like to prove it.
So what is so significant about the black Florida panther?
Well, the zoology tells us that the Puma concolor cannot have a melanistic phase. I don't agree. When a panther cub is born, it has spots that are black and golden, which help with its camouflage. So the ability to have black fur is there. It's just nature switches it off as the panther grows. I suspect that in the northern part of the state, rather than the grassland south, because there are even biologists out there like Lee who believes Florida panthers only exist in the Everglades. I know better. I've seen them in the Panhandle myself. All right, so I know they're there. But up in that part of the country, we have cypress swamps that are big and dark and foreboding. And the golden coloration would stand out against the dark tree trunks at the base of the forest or the swamp. So the black coloration, like a black jaguar, would actually be a better camouflage. So I think nature would evolve a black panther, a black Florida panther.
Is it possible that the black Florida panther is the equivalent to an albino? Something in its DNA?
That's possible, although, as I say, zoologists say it can't happen. There's never been a black one born in captivity, and there's never been, as far as I know, an albino born in captivity, which is part and parcel of why the zoologists are saying it's not possible. It can't happen. When you go out on these... That said, I mean, I've seen an albino alligator, so I know an alligator can be albino. So, why not? We know we can have an albino gorilla.
So if you can have an albino, you can have a pure black as well, which makes total sense.
I would think so.
Yeah.
And nature being what it is, if the adaptation or mutation, if you will, is beneficial, it's going to be perpetuated.
Nature does know best.
Yep.
An albino, I'm trying to picture this in my mind, an albino alligator.
Oh, yeah. If you want to see one, come to St. Augustine. Gator Farm down there has two of them.
Really?
Yep.
Fascinating. Where do you think the search that cryptozoologists like yourself are doing, the expeditions, what is the goal?
Proof. In a nutshell, and to make a long story short, anything that would constitute physical evidence that could be used as proof of the animal you're researching.
All right, stand by, Scott. You and I have to take our final break. Scott Marlowe is our guest this hour, Exxon Nation. www.pangeainstitute.us and www.pangea-academy.org. He makes sense to me. Mind you, I'm not a zoologist, but if it makes sense, in my opinion, it's more likely to exist than not exist. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Back in Victorian England, a famous theologian posed a perplexing riddle. Why are the two top personalities in the Bible tagged with the numbers 7 and 11? Academics agree the answer is found in the stunning discovery of a hitherto secret Bible structure explained in a new book called The Genesis Grid. The discovery is so simple that preschool children could illustrate it. Certain claims are hugely controversial and may offend some, but at the X Zone, we've studied this awesome new book and agree with one expert, and I quote, "These discoveries appear to be beyond coincidence." So who or what hid this wonderful pattern in the Bible, and what might they do next? Find out more, X Zone Nation, and read reviews on www.genesisgrid.co.uk. That's www.genesisgrid.co.uk.
Yesterday, a child came out to wander, caught a dragonfly inside a jar. Fearful when the sky was full of thunder, and tearful at the falling of a star.
Welcome back, everyone. Scott Marlowe is my special guest. Two websites, www.pangeainstitute.us and www.pangea-academy.org. First of all, Scott, great having you back on the show. Do the world a favor,
Always
keep the great
pleasure.
work up. You know, it's so nice to talk to somebody like yourself who is dedicated, but who knows what the heck they're talking about. So thanks very much for all your great work. Speaking about your work, what type of expeditions are you planning?
Well, I want to keep working on this Carabel cat story, so I'll probably be doing an expedition up there. I'll probably do two of them, not necessarily all the cat, but two of them between November and or the middle of November and Christmas. And then most likely a couple of them in February, late February, March, when the weather breaks. And I'm always looking for people who want to go along with me, but I don't want to turn it into a circus.
Sure.
So I'm always open to people who are interested in the subject. And I do tours too. If anybody wants to do that kind of thing, they can just reach me by email.
Now
I'm on Facebook too.
Now, Scott, I understand that PBS is airing another Weird Florida episode around the country. Can you tell us about your segment in the new show?
Well, yeah, I did one. We have a lake monster that ostensibly was in the Lake Clinch down here in Frostproof, and they asked me to do a show on that one. They did a nice little reenactment. It was a unexplained death attributed to the monster back in 1926. And pretty kind of scary stuff. The upstanding citizen who was a fisherman was found dead, and the circumstances surrounding the condition of the body, made it look like some kind of creature attempted to devour him, but was not able to. So I won't be a spoiler. Watch your PBS show for that, or your PBS channel for that. And then the other thing I did for Cineflix up there in your neck of the woods, with Bill Shatner, that was to air in Canada only and England Sci-Fi bought it, and it's starting to air on Sci-Fi now. It's Bill Shatner's Weird or What.
Yeah,
William Shatner's Weird or What.
Yeah, we get it up here. In fact, I watch it daily.
Yeah, I mean, and working with Bill is always a pleasure. So, those are two shows you should watch. I'm working on a DVD of my own, but we'll talk about that another time because I know we're running out of time here.
As always, Scott, great talking to you. Quickly, let our listeners know how they can find out more about you and the Pangea Institute.
Well, the website you've been citing is one of the best ways. The other is find me on Facebook because I post pictures all the time, and I've got probably about 800 friends on Facebook now that are all interested in the subject, and that's the fastest way to reach me.
All right, Scott, thank you very much for joining us. Continued success and keep the great work up, my friend.
Thanks so much.
All right, X-Zone Nation, Scott Marlowe has been my guest this hour, talking about cryptozoology, black panthers, swamp apes. We talked about sea monsters, globsters. We talked about dragon heads that are washing up on the shore. www.pangeainstitute.org. I'm sorry, pangeainstitute.us and www.pangea-academy.org. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break and the news at 6.5 minutes past as the X-Zone continues right here from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away.